When I start with a new client, the thing they all really want me to see the most is the actual behavior they want to change. Of course, that makes sense. That's the bit that they're focusing on. That's important. But there are things that you and I should be looking for when assessing your dog that aren't the actual behavior. Crucially, these things will reveal way more about what's actually going on, and they'll give me clues about how to go on and fix it. Related behaviors. These are behaviors that achieve the same goal as the unwanted behavior. For example, excessive scent marking is a territorial behavior. It marks out the space your dog is trying to protect. So it's the same as fence running, window barking, door guarding. You can't solve one without the other. Point of awareness. This is the moment your dog becomes aware that something is happening. They're still in their thinking brain, and your dog will learn the most in this mode. So this is the best time to take action to influence your progress. It's important to know that the moment of awareness is not just something they would see. It could be a scent, a sound, touch, especially in the case of handling issues like grooming, the vets, stuff like that. Maybe touching a certain place causes your dog to sort of stiffen and become quite alert. The point of awareness could also be triggered by your behavior too. So the point of awareness might come by a word, action, or a change of your mood. What happens before the unwanted behavior after the moment of awareness is really important, as it tells us exactly what the dog wants from us before they get overwhelmed and go over threshold. This is especially important when solving things like recall problems, reactive behavior, or separation anxiety. Threshold. When your dog goes over threshold, as in when they're doing the behavior you don't want, they are 100% reliant on instinctive behaviors, and their thinking brain is now absolutely switched off. So your dog will learn the least in this mode. As the dog is doing the behavior you are trying to change at this point, this is the bit many people focus on, but you'll make the least amount of difference. You're making your life just really hard for yourself. You'll be putting in the maximum work for the minimum amount of benefit. So once you've had the moment of awareness, your dog is sliding down a scale towards the threshold line. So it's really important to know what your dog looks like as they approach it, so you can take action quickly. Everything works better on this side of the threshold line. Preferred calming behavior. After your dog gets triggered and the behavior is over, they will give us some clues about how they like to calm themselves. It's different for every single dog, but I'll be looking for things like excessive sniffing, spinning, shaking, rolling around, peeing, scratching, or like Max last week, just trying to sit. Every dog is different, so it could be almost anything. After your dog's been over threshold, just let them act however they want to act, as long as it's safe. And you'll find it. Once you know what it is, you can find ways to encourage your dog to do that next time they go over threshold. What makes it worse? It sounds obvious, but knowing what makes a behavior worse will really help us to avoid those situations during the early stages of training. Many people actually can't answer the question about what makes it worse until we actually start really looking for it. The higher the success rate at the start, the more successful your training will be. So once we've figured out what makes it worse, whether that's maybe the time of day or when they need a pee or if they're overtired, sometimes different locations and different walks could make things worse. But once you know what that is, you can avoid that in the early stages of your training so that you can make the most out of your progress. What makes it better? If we're looking at what makes it worse, we also need to know what makes it better too. Is your dog better when they are with their dog walker or at the groomers or when they stay at granddad's? Can they cope with calm, far away dogs better than off-lead dogs that have come into their space? Or can they cope better when they're left alone in the car but not in the house? Do they resource guard in the house but not on holiday? For the same reason as knowing what makes things worse, knowing what makes things better puts us at an advantage at these early stages. Overdue needs. If you know what happened straight after the moment of awareness, you'll have a clue about what your dog's overdue needs might be. Maybe your reactive dog does a play bow or wags his tail or sniffs the air right before going full reactive. This could be a sign that their social need or play need is overdue. This will mean that your plan will change around the midpoint when we stop addressing fear and anxiety and start addressing For this dog, it would be their social time or their play need. So we'll prepare for that and look out for that tipping point as we go through the sessions. Other dogs where this is important might be dogs that pull on the lead a lot or have poor recall. In these cases, it could be an exploration or problem solving. Maybe they're lacking in exercise, social need. If you're not sure, take a look at Maslow's pyramid of needs and see which problems you could be fitting into. It's likely to be more than one thing. Rewardable moment. This is absolutely crucial. You have to look for the rewardable moment in all behavior rehabilitation plans. Sometimes the behavior comes in waves. Sometimes the rewardable moment will come in the dips between the waves. Sometimes it will be before or after. Sometimes we'll be able to simplify the behavior, and maybe there'll be all three. But knowing what makes things better or worse will help us find a way to find that rewardable moment too. A reward. Once you've found the rewardable moment, we'll need an effective way to reward it. We'll look at what your dog finds rewarding. It's not the same for everybody. And we'll find a way to include it so that we can make the most of every moment of brilliance. Reactive dogs and anxious dogs often don't take treats, but there are ways to solve that problem while you are boosting confidence. Motivators. Don't confuse this with the reward. A motivator is used to change a behavior, so it comes before. The reward comes after and celebrates the choice. Figuring out what motivates your dog will change throughout the day and is most relevant to which need is most overdue. For example, half an hour before dinner, your dog will be more motivated by food. When they need a pee, that will motivate them more than a recall treat. Reactive dogs are motivated by things that make them feel safe. Resource guarders are motivated by things that relieve their stress. Once you've figured out what needs are overdue, we'll be able to figure out something that will help motivate your dog to give us the behavior that we need. So then we come to the problem behavior. All of these things have been way more helpful than watching the problem behavior itself. A reactive dog doesn't look much different to another reactive dog, but the stuff that happened before, the stuff that happened afterwards, the way they calm themselves, the motivations, the rewards, where they go over threshold, this will be different for every single dog. So keep an eye out for all of these when you are working with your dog, as these will help you understand the problem and form the basis of your training plan. It's exactly what I'm looking for when I'm working with a dog. Now that you know what you're looking for, what are you noticing now that you didn't see before? Let me know in the comments and I'll see you in the next video. Take care for now.